Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Kristen Lyons and the invocation by Pete Miller. If you'd all please rise and remove your hats.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, as we gather to serve our community, guide our hearts and minds. Remind us of the 7 dangers of human virtue: wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, knowledge without character, business without ethics, science without humanity, religion without sacrifice, and politics without principle. Grant us clarity, humility, and unity this evening as we serve our residents. May every decision that we make be grounded in principle and directed towards the good of those that we serve. In your name we pray.
Amen. Okay. Okay. Citizens to be heard. Item number 3, John Willing. John, if you'd say where you live, come on up. No. Come up into the lectern, please.
It's nice to be able to walk. Yes, I live at 113 Cliffside. Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. First of all, I want to say the 4th of July, which is actually, we did it early, that whole celebration was very well done. Really, really well done. And I think everybody would agree on that if you went. We had a great celebration, and so it brought a good memory. I also loved it going up and down the highway today. I don't know when it was actually done, but I saw that all the bee weeds were actually mown down today, so it was a relief to the eye. It was actually very beautiful. So whoever did the mowing job did a nice job, and I know maybe somebody wasn't happy about that, but I think the bees will be okay. At any rate, I just want to say something about the zoning change that is being proposed for having the Jiffy Lube and the Chipotle right in that area. I'm more particularly concerned about the Jiffy Lube. Not majorly concerned, but I do have some concerns because it brings up some issues. I really believe that beautiful cities that I've seen have strong zoning enforced. You can really tell that it's been planned. And I think that without any strong guidance in the city planning, the appearance of a city can look haphazard. It can have lots of independent looks and architecture and conflicts. I studied architecture for a couple of years in college, and I just, learned a lot from that it really does make a difference in a feeling of a city when you plan it. Houston suffered a lot from that effect. You can see it when you drive through the city. There was just haphazard zoning, and I'd hate to see that happen in our little community of Chavano Park. Even though we're not big, it'd be really sad to see that happen. So some of the specific questions would be noise levels from the Jiffy Lube. If there's people who would, some of the Chipotles have dining and some of them don't outside, there could be kind of noisy if it's in close proximity to the building. It seems like there would have to be a really good separation there. So I think that when tires are being topped off and there's clanging of auto parts and cars coming in and out, that could be not a really great environment for a restaurant, very close to it. So I wonder if this Chipotle would have outdoor seating at this location and how much parking will be available for customers for Chipotle and for Jiffy Lube, and will there be space between the two companies? And I think another concern I have is allowing the zoning change for Jiffy Lube could also very easily set a precedent for the future to keep on making exceptions for this business and another business and another business. And you have to do that at times. But if you are forced into it and, well, look what you did over here, maybe somebody brings a legal problem in front of you because that happened, that could be a really sad thing to happen in Chavano Park. Look, those are my comments. So
Thank you very much, John, and we appreciate it.
You bet.
Susan Willing. Susan, if you could tell us where you live.
I live also at 113 Cliffside. Thank you, Pete, for the reminder of those 7 virtues. I really appreciated hearing those, and I think that really set our minds in a beautiful place tonight. I really thank you. This is not related right now to the ordinance, but I just want to say, I don't know if it's possible, but I really appreciate what Kevin Walker and Brian Eck have done at the end of Cliffside Drive, and I wonder, maybe this has already been done, but it'd be nice if the city or city council would send a thank you note to them. I walk that every day, and I notice how many hours Kevin has spent loading rocks and soil to that, and it really has beautified the front of our street, which I greatly appreciate. And I look forward someday to having our own monument there on the corner of Northwest Military and Days of Allah, looking more updated and beautiful, because this is a beautiful city, and I was just hoping it could reflect that, because that's, people make a lot of judgments when they drive past there all the time about our neighborhood, and so I'm hoping there can be some wonderful input to go to there to modernize it and make it look lovely. When I first, now talking about the going in of the restaurant and the Jiffy Lube, I think my first reaction was a concern about, wow, we don't have a whole lot of acres left, and I was just thinking, I might be speaking out of turn because I'm not the developer, and I don't know how hard it is to get businesses attracted to it, and especially that particular lot with the traffic flow, but I was hoping there could be more, a little bit more classy kind of a, restaurant or something that could be attracted to that area. So I'm not saying don't, but I'm just saying, be cautious about being too hasty to approve, and maybe it is, like I say, very difficult to find someone who would be attracted to that particular property to build something. Anyway, thank you for the fact that you all work so hard to make these decisions and want to honor our community.
Susan, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, that brings us to item number 4, City Council comments. Christian,
None at this time, thank you.
okay. Lee,
I'd like to thank you all for showing up, whatever your motivation is. It's always good to see people involved civically in government. It gets lonely up here on the dais when nobody's in the crowd. And I'd like to remind you that we are in the middle of the budget process, and staff has done an incredible job of making sense of all the things that go into running a city. And I hope that you appreciate the employees here that do so much to help us to make life better for you folks. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Pete?
Yeah, hopefully you've all noticed on Desavalas, the project is coming to completion. And it was funny because I guess it was over a year ago, the contractor got up and said, it'll be 13 months to do this. And I thought, oh, come on, it's going to be a little bit longer than that. And we've hit the 13-month mark. There's a lot of people that put a lot of work into making that happen. So I want to thank those, in particular, our staff. When you look at Bill, Johnny, Curtis, Brenda, and the police department that all put a lot of work into making sure that it was safe and that things went correctly. Our contractor did an outstanding job, J3. The engineering, city engineer did an outstanding job, the inspector, and also we had a committee of citizens that helped drive that, making sure that it was done correctly. And most of all, the citizens that live on Desavalas that put up with all the noise and the construction, really thank them as well. But we're getting really close, and I think that we're all going to be very pleased with it.
Conrad?
I'd like to echo that some citizens involved in the Days of Allah project and the work they put in. Al, appreciate that. It's all volunteer, and it's good work. In addition to Kevin Walker, I think Brian Eck was part of that too, and it's right at the end of Cliffside and Military. You can go by and check it out. That's citizens initiating that on their own, doing that, a little bit of a help with some soil and stuff from the city, but it looks so good and so appreciative. Thank you.
I normally don't comment during council comments, but I do want to commend Kevin and Brian. I've talked to both of them. But I also want to thank Frank and Johnny for all the work that they've done in getting the materials over there to help them. You can have a great vision, but if you don't have the stuff to work with, you don't have the stuff to work with. It's having a really great set of Play-Doh as a kiddo, But if you don't have the little extrusion devices, you can't do the really cool stuff with the Play-Doh. So thank you guys for helping out with Kevin and Brian so very much. Brings us to item number 5, presentations, commentations, and announcements. Proclamations, 2026 Independence Day event sponsors. We are absolutely blessed to have so many sponsors that make such a big difference in Chavano Park. And we have some that have been here for years and others that have come and gone from time to time. And then, of course, we have our Chavano Park women who just have made all the difference in the world. They have been the glue that has held this community together for 71 years, and the city has only been here for 70, so they've just made all the difference in the world. I suggested that when they did their 70th anniversary that they wear T-shirts that said 70 years of excellence, because it has been 70 years of excellence for them. But some of them, it was just too darn close to their age, and they didn't want to put on that 70 years. So I can fully understand that. We have 5 entities that we're going to recognize this evening. Colliers Engineer is our first. Do I have anybody from Colliers Engineering to accept the proclamation? I didn't see anybody come in from Colliers. We get to see them all the time. They probably are thinking, golly, we'll pick those up on some other time because we do spend so much time with them, and I'll thank them individually. The next one is Martin Marietta. Do I have anybody from Martin? Oh, great. Come on down, and I'll even give you a chance to give a little bit of information about yourself. I'm going to come out there, and we're going to take a picture together. Just a couple of words that I'll say. Going back over 25 years, Martin Marietta has been, on this side, has been instrumental in our communities. Going back to when Tommy Payton got them involved in our community, they have done barbecues for us, they've done community events, and we come forward to today, and Martin Marietta, over a quarter of a century later, has been perhaps our longest sustaining supporter outside of the Chavano Park women. And on behalf of the city of Chavano Park, I want to thank you for your great contribution and all that you do for us. Keep up the great work, and appreciate everything. Thank you so much. Well, it may not be in the right order. The next one is recognizing Petland. Come on down. Glenn, we appreciate you coming down today to be with us. We are excited to have you as a part of the Chavano Park community. Y'all have made a great contribution over there. We were concerned about getting that development center in place, and y'all have been the anchor for it. Thank you for all that you do in Chavano Park. Keep up the great work. And then for all of you who came to our Independence Day celebration, and I hope almost everybody did that's here, y'all got to have some of the best fajitas in Texas. And I'm going to tell you that y'all enjoyed them so much, and y'all got such healthy portions of them that by the time I got there, there wasn't anything left but the crumbs. And so I don't know if that was planned in advance, that we're going to have a really great time and feed all the citizens and all the participants, but we're not going to feed the mayor. But it worked out perfectly. I want to tell you, it worked out perfectly. And so today we got Brandon and Evan here to be with us today. Come on down, gentlemen. These guys were part of the cooking team that provided us the best fajitas in Texas, I believe, is the way that I described it in our newsletter, in the Roadrunner. Y'all have done an amazing job. Thank you so very much. Good to be with you. Republic Services, those are the guys that pick up the garbage at your house every week. Bill gets to talk to them whenever you might have a complaint, but I'm going to tell you, compared to most cities, these guys are doing an Item 5.2, proclamation San Antonio Radio Club and Amateur Radio Week. For 105 years, the San Antonio Radio Club has been active in our community. These are the guys that during World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and coming all the way forward to today, were bouncing things off the ionosphere and telling us, hey, this is what's happening over in Burma or in Saipan or wherever else around the world, because they're there to take care of radio communications in the event of catastrophes. They do an absolutely amazing job. We're so excited to have them be in our pavilion. It makes it a whole lot more comfortable. I have gone to be with them every one of the last 12 years except for COVID year, in which case they still had their annual event. They just didn't have it here in Chavano Park. They had the highest participation of any year that we have had in Chavano Park. Really great to see an organization. You think about an organization that's 100 years old and you're thinking that all the members are 100 years old, but that's not the way that it is with the San Antonio Radio Club. And today we've got John April with us to accept the proclamation on behalf of the organization.
All right. Grab my phone if you don't mind. I'd just like to say a quick word here about this certificate, the President's Certificate of Appreciation that on behalf of the San Antonio Radio Club, I'd like to present this President's Certificate of Appreciation to the city of Chavano Park. For more than 2 decades, the city has graciously hosted our annual Amateur Radio Relay League Field Day exercise. Your continued support has provided us with a place to not only train for emergency communications, but also to invite members of the public to experience the amateur radio firsthand. Every year, people who have never touched a radio before have had the opportunity to get on the air, learn about emergency communication, and see how volunteers can serve their communities when they're needed most. So we sincerely appreciate the city's participation or partnership, hospitality, and commitment to this public event, its mission, a success every year. Your support has helped make Field Day a tradition that strengthens emergency preparedness, promotes public awareness, and connects our community with the important role of amateur radio. So, thank you.
On behalf of the city of Chavano Park, our council, our staff, thank you very much for this recognition. Okay, item 5.3, recognition. Police Officer Espinoza and Officer Schumacher for their DWI reduction efforts during calendar years 2024 and 2025. Chief.
Hey, good evening, Mayor and Council. So every year, the police department recognizes one officer within the department that has the most DWI-related arrests. And historically, we submit that nomination to Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, MAD, who has an annual luncheon every year. Historically, they used to do it within every Texas region. However, in 2024, they cut back and held it in 2 locations throughout Texas, one being Dallas, the other being Houston. So we were unable to make those locations. So in order to keep with the tradition, we're going to begin to host these recognitions here within the City Council for our department. And so with that, I'd like to recognize Officer Espinoza with the most DWI-related arrests for calendar year 2024, and Officer Brandon Schumacher for the most DWI-related arrests for the calendar year 2025. Go up and get a picture.
Officer, yeah, bring your whole family down, please.
I'll get him.
Item 5.4, recognition, excellence in performance for the Fire Department Shift C Emergency Management Services EMS for the quarter ending June 30th for life-saving efforts. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First, I'd like to thank Chief Fox for bringing this to my attention and actually making this nomination for the employee, or in this case, the employees of the quarter. On the morning of May 14th, 2026, shortly after 8 a.m., C-Shift responded to the scene for an initial report of a female having seizures at one of our local medical offices. As they arrived on scene, they found a 27-year-old female that was actually in cardiac arrest and was after being administered anesthesia for a medical procedure. Staff on scene had started CPR just prior to EMS arriving. C-Shift was able to start focusing on the patient and began administering a higher level of care for the patient. Along with CPR, a number of medications were administered, as well as establishing IV access that not typically is able to be done in the facility. In this instance, the doctor was attempting to do this, and our staff actually was able to get the IV long before the doctor did. Not saying anything bad about the doctor, but just telling you about the professionalism of our paramedics. Initially, there was an advanced airway that was initiated as well, and we continued our efforts. As the crew moved the patient to the ambulance, the patient was reassessed shortly after getting into the ambulance, which was common for us, and the patient had actually regained a pulse and was breathing, and her heart was beating on her own. She was transported to the hospital, and as last reports, is still under medical care, but is alive and doing well. So responding to the call that morning were Captain Tom Gross, Lieutenant Jeff Kuiper, who was actually the paramedic in charge of the patient, firefighter paramedic Ben Bingham, firefighter paramedic Fabian Morales, who is actually on vacation today and unable to attend, and firefighter EMT David Sandoval. So I've said it before and I'll say it again, I look good because these guys make me look good. It's because of their efforts, and I greatly appreciate all of them.
You know, I just will say something because we've had an opportunity to recognize our police officers and our first responders tonight. The police officers who try to keep our roads safe, and you know, you pull someone over, and if they're intoxicated and impaired, you know, they really have a responsibility to keep the roads safe, and it may not be a pleasant task at times, but it is an important one. So thank you very much for doing that. And then the fact that every day our paramedics get called out for 1 to 2 or 3 or 4 EMS calls, and they're providing life-saving capability and services is just absolutely amazing. All of you are making a difference in our residents, our citizens' lives, and you set a great example. Thank you so much.
I appreciate everybody that has come this evening to join us. Y'all are welcome to leave now or at any time in the future as far as the meeting's concerned, but thank y'all for each coming here. Y'all have make a gigantic difference in our community at our community events. We appreciate all of the quarters and decades, in many cases, of contributions that you've made to our community. Brings us to item number 6, consent agenda. All matters listed under this item are considered routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired by any alderman on any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Do I have a motion to accept and/or approve items 6.1 through 6.3?
Mayor, I would like to pull one of the items.
No, you're not there yet. This is item 6, the consent agenda. Do you want to pull any of 6.1 through 6.3? Okay, do you have a motion for me? I'd like it to have a motion. Okay, we have a motion from Lee. Do I have a second? A second from Conrad, okay. There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 4-0. City Manager's Report. All matters listed under this item are considered routine by the City Council and will only be considered at the request of one or more aldermen. Coincident with each listed item, discussion will generally occur. Pete, I think you have a question.
I do. I would like to pull item 7.4, which is the Police Department Activity Report.
Okay, we request to pull item 7.4, Police Activity Report. I'm gonna need for somebody to go get the chief for us so that he can discuss that. Does anybody wish to pull any of the other items? Okay, there being no request. Chief, if you would come on down, and Pete has a few questions concerning the police activity report.
Of course he does.
So Chief, I'm so excited about Decibellis coming to a completion. But one of the hardest things for me is to go 25 miles an hour down that road. Could you please tell us what are the plans to change that speed limit back from 25 to 35? And do you need council's approval or guidance on that?
Well, if you remember, when we lowered it, we did it on an emergency basis because it was a construction area and we felt there was a safety hazard. And then when we formalized it with council, I believe the stipulation was upon project completion or council approval. And this morning, talking with the city manager during our morning huddle, I believe he said that they were doing a walkthrough on Thursday to determine project completion, or we can do it through city council actions. So.
Yeah, the project will be complete Thursday. We're going to do a walkthrough punch list, and then we plan to raise the speed limit to 35.
We could get a standing ovation for that one, I think, from everybody in the community. So thank you for clarifying that, Chief. We appreciate it so much. Okay, brings us to our regular agenda items. Buddy Alleman is in court. He has been called for jury duty, and he is waiting for his panel to be released. We do have several action items that are on the agenda, and without objection, I'm going to start at the bottom of the agenda until Buddy arrives, and then we will go to the regular agendas. Without objection, we're going to go to item 810, discussion action review of the annual budget calendar. We were just meeting at a special meeting, and we have 2 more dates. Brenda, we have those dates that you previously provided. If you would just take a couple of minutes to advise the public
calendar?
concerning that.
Yes, sir. So in September, we have a special council meeting for the first reading of the budget. That is on Monday, September 14th. That'll be at 5:30. And then in September, on Monday, the 21st, we will be having the Crime Control Board meeting at 6:15, and then the regular city council meeting at 6:30. That will be the second reading of the budget, the ordinance for the budget approval, as well as the tax rate resolution approval.
Okay. Do we have a motion to set the September 14th and 21st meetings, except the fiscal year 2026-27 budget calendar as submitted and confirmed dates for the September 14th special council meeting at 5:30 and the September 21st Crime Control Prevention District Board of Directors meeting at 6:15 with the regular council meeting to immediately follow. Do we have a motion?
Make that motion.
We have a motion from Conrad. We have a second from Lee. There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 4-0. Item 8.9, discussion action ordinance O 2021-004, amending the fiscal year 2025-26 budget. This is an administrative change, which means it will take effect immediately. Bill, are you or Brenda going to talk first?
Brenda?
All right, thank you. So staff has a number of items to propose amendments to the fiscal year 26 budget. So they include development fees. The city has received almost $109,000 in development fees relating to the platting of the PID and the final plat of Napier Park. So amounts received are typically transferred to the Capital Replacement Fund for future infrastructure expenditures. So we are proposing an increase to the development fee revenue line item, as well as an increase to the transfer to the Capital Replacement Fund line item. And then in the Capital Replacement Fund, we will see an offsetting or corresponding increase in the transfer from the general fund as a revenue line item in that fund. Donations, the city has received a generous $15,000 donation from the Starr family in memory of their daughter Lisa for improvement to the walking trails in the Muni Tract. So we are proposing an increase of $15,000 to donations and offset by an increase of the same amount to capital improvement project expense line item. Information technology, at its June regular council meeting, City Council approved the purchase of an artificial intelligence server at a cost not to exceed $25,000. So the amendment proposes an increase to capital computer equipment of the $25,000. And we're proposing offsetting that with an increase in the sale to city assets, the partial proceeds from the sale of a portion of the Greenbelt to a resident on Box Oak. And then the fire department had a number of smaller expenditure items. They also received a couple of additional revenues. So they typically receive a trauma grant from the Southwest Texas Regional Advisory Council. That was $5,146. So we're proposing an amendment to increase that revenue and increase the offsetting grant expenditure line item. They received $5,200 in fire watch revenues from an area assisted living facility when their fire alarm system went down. So we're going to use that to increase their equipment maintenance and repair budget a little bit and their vehicle maintenance and repair budget. The vehicle maintenance and repair, big vehicles have big bills. Ambulance M133B required replacement of its onboard AC system or AC unit, a cost of approximately $10,300. We're proposing increasing their EMS revenues by a like amount. We're doing very well in our collections. Our provider there is doing a really good job. And then political instability, we're having issues with our fuel prices. So we're going to use an increase in the plan review fees and operating revenue line item to increase the vehicle and equipment fuels to get them through the rest of the fiscal year. On the police side, they've received a generous $3,000 donation from a city resident who specified the use of the funds toward police equipment as well as employee appreciation. So we're offsetting that donation by a $3,000 in total increase in the related expenses where she wanted it to go. We need to bump up the cadet, the tuition expenditure. When we hired the cadet, it was later in the budget season last year, and we did not take into account their academy tuition, so we need to bump that up about $3,000. We think we'll have some additional towing contract revenues because we've already maxed out that line item, so those are offsetting. Code compliance, the cleanup on the 102 Wagon Trail for $4,500. We had originally budgeted that last year. However, the work wasn't done until this year, so we're going to bump up our plan review fees to offset that. And then the police department also had some vehicle maintenance and repairs and fuel issues. So we're offsetting those increases in expenditures with an increase in the plan review fees. In our Community Enhancement and Engagement Fund, council bumped up the budget for the city's July 4th celebration, and we've also received some additional funding, especially towards the Liberty Tree mural. So we're increasing our donation revenue line item by $5,200 and an increase of $20,450 to the city-sponsored events. And then on February 2nd, 2026, city manager signed an engineering task order for $6,500 for the Cliffside Trail schematics, and that was directed to be taken out of the Community Enhancement and Engagement Fund. So we're increasing that expenditure line item by that amount. Now moving to the water utility fund. The water utility purchased 37.5 acre-feet of water rights this October, and the city had originally budgeted $125,000, so we need to up that by $260,000 because that purchase price was $385,000. We have a few smaller adjustments proposed in the Tree Protection and Beautification Fund, one for the 2 municipal beehives, one for their tree donor program. We just had approved at the last council meeting the engineering task orders with Colliers for the pavement condition index and the Turkey Creek drainage. That totaled $58,000. We're proposing taking that out of our street maintenance fund. And then also in the capital replacement fund, in addition to the 109 development fees, at its October 2025 meeting, council approved up to $11,000 to reestablish or improve the irrigation system at the Saddle Tree Triangle for a pollinator garden.
Okay, thank you. You spoke more rapidly than you normally do. Could you go back and tell me again about what happened at 102 Wagon Trail?
Yes, so that was the abatement. So last year, we were able to clean up most of the abated rubbish. However, the motor oil and cooking oil cleanup was not able to get done until this fiscal year. So even though it was budgeted for last fiscal year, the actual expense took place this fiscal year. So I'm requesting that adjustment.
Okay, I thought that it was an additional expense. I was hoping that it was money, but I wasn't paying attention well enough. Okay. Bill, anything else that you'd like to add at this time?
Yes, great job by all the departments doing this. 2 things I want to highlight. Number 1 is almost everything she mentioned as a budget amendment, we've already brought forth to City Council and you've already approved, and there's certainly very little surprises or changes that we didn't just make it up and say, okay, go forth and approve this. The second thing is when you say we bumped up revenues, we increased the revenue projection line in the budget. The actual revenues already are there. You know, so if we budgeted, let's say, $100,000 for ambulance fees and we got 110, most of the time we're not going to change the budget revenue line to 110. We're just going to keep it at 100 and then we'll deposit that back into fund balance. But as we receive more ambulance fees, development fees, even permit fees, we're just using those increased fees that we're actually getting and projecting to offset the expenses so we maintain a balanced budget. That's all I was going to mention there. Can be a little confusing.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns before I entertain a motion? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve ordinance 2026-004, amending the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget? Do we have a motion?
Motion approved.
We have a motion from Christian. Do we have a second? We have a second from Pete. There being no this is an administrative ordinance, which means it takes effect immediately. We will do budget amendments for those who are watching at home and are new to the meetings once or twice a year because there are things that roll through the year, and instead of amending the budget every time that council authorizes something, we earmark where the money is going to be coming from or going to, and then we clean everything up in a single budgetary amendment, which actually makes our auditors much happier than having to go through pages and pages of changes on different city council agendas. Okay, there being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you, Brenda. Item 8.8, discussion action setting the date for the city-sponsored events, citywide garage sale, Arbor Day, Independence Day, National Night Out, our holiday festival. Kristen?
I could do that.
Oh, Bill, okay.
So we have 6 primary city-sponsored events. Garage sale, the Arbor Earth Day, Independence Day, National Night Out, Trunk or Treat, and Holiday Festival. And we typically try to schedule them at the same time every year. But we found that if we get out in front of this earlier than we used to, like we used to do this in October, November, and then things would get tightened up, that we can start reserving the things we need to. We can inform our employees, a lot of them who have to work on that, on those weeks, work through that. So, do we have the calendar here? Okay. So I'll just go down the line one way or the other. We're really looking at, we have 2 options for the citywide garage sale, March 6th or the 13th. We note that the Blattman Spring Break is the 8th through the 12th, and that March 27th is the Easter weekend. So we're proposing that we do this on the 13th. And so I'll just go through all this. If there's any comments, we'll go from there. Arbor Earth Day, we try to do it in mid-April. Their actual Earth Day is actually in April. Arbor Day is usually in the fall, but we combine that. Because the fiesta is the 15th through the 25th, and the 24th, 25th are the biggest days in fiesta because it's towards the end, we're recommending that our Arbor Earth Day celebrations are Saturday, April 17th. The Independence Day, which is usually, it's always on the 4th of July, we have historically done this on the Saturday prior to that. That allows people to enjoy other activities on the 4th of July, including our employees. The June 26th is the Saturday before the 4th of July. And then I make note also that the Radio Club, which was recognized earlier, they will come at the conclusion of that, and they'll have their annual radio field day, the 26th and 27th. July 4th is a Sunday, so we did not do that July 3rd. We pushed it, basically up one day, one week there. National Night Out is always the first Tuesday of October. That's October 5th this year. And so that's worked pretty good. In previous years, that's been a conflict with the Texas Municipal League Conference, but they've moved that to later October, November, so that's good. We're proposing that Trunk or Treat be on October 24th, which is a week in advance, so that it's not conflicting directly with actual Trunk or Halloween, but that would be Sunday, October 24th. And finally, the December holiday event centered around Christmas is historically the first Saturday in December. That first Saturday is December 4th. So we're throwing that out. The city plans and we budgeted for those amount, and we're asking for approval of those dates at this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Bill. Appreciate the input. The Arbor Day Earth Day is something that's become something of a tradition in Chavano Park. The Trunk or Treat will be coordinating with the Chavano Park women and families across the community. National Night Out, is the police department going to actually be able to come up to the standard of the fire department this last year?
We do every year.
Okay, I just want to make sure. And Independence Day, the rationale for doing it a full week plus is that in Chavano Park, a lot of people are going to go and travel on the 3rd, 4th of July. And so we have this wonderful event and nobody would be showing up. The great thing about December the 4th on our holiday festival is Santa Claus is going to be here. I can just guarantee Santa Claus is going to be here, and it's going to snow. It snows every first Saturday in December. So I know that for all the children who are watching right now, that they're thinking, golly, is Santa Claus going to show up in Chavano Park? And is it going to snow? And the answer is it's going to snow. And we have a city ordinance out there someplace. I haven't been able to find it. But you can throw snowballs at fathers and grandfathers all you want, but you can't throw snowballs at your mothers and grandmothers without specific permission. Pete probably has the ordinance. He may have pulled it out of the books just because he was tired of getting his granddaughter throwing snowballs at him. But we're going to be doing a lot of fun. So we have a motion to approve the dates as proposed, as outlined above, for city-sponsored events, the garage sale, Arbor Day, Earth Day, Independence Day, National Night Out, Trunk or Treat, the holiday event. Do we have a motion? We have a motion from Lee. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Conrad. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Pete, did I hear you? Okay. Okay, brings us to item 8.7, discussion action, setting the dates. Oh, we already did that. Sorry about that. 8.6, discussion action, considering the creation of an ad hoc, yes. 8.7 is holiday. Oh, okay, yes, I didn't miss that. Okay. Discussion action, setting the dates for the city holidays. Is that going to be Bill, or is that going to be you? Okay, I think it's Bill. Bill?
Well, the holidays are set by the city council. We establish them in the budget as well as the employee handbook. And so then it's just a matter of every year, taking a look at the dates that align with what we normally do. See, I'm trying to think if there was any abnormal days. Christmas Day, okay. Yeah, so we had an option to move Christmas Eve to the 23rd and Christmas Day to the 24th, or leave Christmas Eve as the 24th, then bump the Christmas Day celebration holiday until the 27th. Staff is recommending that we keep Christmas Eve at the 24th and then just bump the Christmas Day holiday to the 27th. Effectively gives us a 4-day weekend. We know that most years, most of our staff take off between Christmas and New Year's anyway, and this the schedule facilitates that.
Okay. Bill, did we have 14 days last year? I know that we've got one of these that's a floating holiday for First Responders Day, which isn't listed as an optional. Last year we had it listed as an optional holiday that you could take one or the other of a different day on here.
Yeah, we've done that historically. Do we still do that in our handbook?
Yes, in the handbook, it'll state that they'll be able to swap out a Veterans Day for another holiday if they'd prefer. To my knowledge, nobody has ever taken up that.
So
For
Veterans
Patriots
Day, we have 13 holidays, and Veterans Day is an optional holiday, or we're closed on Veterans Day this year?
We always have correction. Last year, you added New Year's Eve, which gave us 14 holidays. When they add Patriots Day, which is the 9/11 day, it does not add a holiday.
Okay.
That's the optional one. Patriots Day is the optional. They can swap it out.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the 2027 official holiday schedule as presented? We have a motion from Lee.
Second.
We have a second from Conrad. We're now open for discussion. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Item 8.6, discussion action, consideration for creating an ad hoc City of Chavano Park Bee Committee for the purpose of maintaining healthy beehives in a safe environment while promoting educational activities. Pete, are you going to talk, or is this going to be Bill?
So I think it's got to be Bill. Is it going to be Pete or Bill?
I'm happy to do it.
Maybe it's a co-effort. I'll kick it off, Bill. So one of the things is 3 months ago, it's hard to believe we've had bees in Chavano Park for 3 months. But one of the key things we started to do is we want to be more systematic in the way that we manage those bees. And so Bill and I have actually put together almost a tiered type of philosophy. And the first has to do with establishing and learning. And so that's establish the bees and then making sure we know how to take care of them. And so Bill and I have actually been working with Heather Wilkes very closely, and she has been a great mentor. We've been to classes as well, and have learned a lot about bees. One of the things I was really surprised at, though, that I didn't expect, is one of the things that I've learned the most is about risk and the risk of bees. That, our bees are relatively tame, but we have a lot of bees in Chavano Park that are wild bees. And by kind of going through this process, we have learned a lot more about bees and the risks associated with bees and how to manage those bees. The next tier that we were talking about was actually maintain and protect. And that would involve, making sure that we have the honeybees and start to establish a group that would help do that and make this sustainable. And then tier 3 would be to promote and educate. Again, the whole purpose of this is to educate our community of the importance of bees, to talk about insecticides and the harm that does to the bees, and to make sure that people understand the importance that they bring. It's actually been interesting because we've, both Bill and I have joined the Alamo Beekeepers Association. And we have, I didn't think anybody else had bees within Chavano Park except for Heather. And we're starting to find out that multiple people have bees. And we've met some at the Alamo Beekeepers Association. So the concept here is, and what we originally, when we started this, is how do you educate people in the general public? But one of the things that we're finding more important is how do you educate beekeepers that have different challenges and interface with different things. So it's the ability to bring a community together so we can learn together. Bill, what did I leave out, and what else do you want to add to it?
Yeah, so again, not to belabor it too long, but keeping bees alive and safe is challenging, mostly alive, because if you don't have the right conditions, they'll swarm and find another nest and you've lost your hive. Our hives are queened from very domestic bred bees, believe it or not. They have a pedigree, so to speak, and they come from Northern California where there's never been exposed to Africanized bees. And by having them produce males, which are called drones, that they're out in the neighborhoods, any wild hives actually will breed into them, and they'll breed into the very tame amount. So we're actually doing a service there. But we thought about the amount of work we do. We check it once every 2 weeks. It's not very hard. It's about an hour's worth of work, and it's going to be fun. But we need to be able to sustain that as well as educate that. And so when you're talking about education programs, we need a few more people to help us out. There's a resident on Cliffside and one on Bent Oak that have hives, believe it or not. And we know there's wild hives around because when we're doing construction projects, they're in trees and we discover them. And we work through that. So we're proposing that a staff member, an alderman, 3 residents, and a subject matter expert to act as an advisor form this ad hoc bee committee. And they would be tasked with responsibilities such as maintaining the healthy beehive, maintaining a safe beehive site, coordinating educational activities, helping coordinate Arbor Earth Day educational activities to include speakers and/or a booth and/or a visit to the beehives itself, and monitoring and fulfilling annual requirements of Bee City USA. We are Bee City USA, but there are some requirements to take you to reapplication every time. We also attended a honey making class on not this Saturday, but the Saturday before, and it's fascinating. And it would be perfect to have it pull out some honey in a year or two, and then have a demonstration, have residents come and help participate in that, and then pour their honey right into jars and take it home with them. So we're excited about that. But this is intended also to help with the continuity of the hive, so it's just not 2 people trying to take care of it, but we're spreading the wealth and educating at the same time.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, Pete, I'm going to entertain a motion from you to approve the creation of an ad hoc City of Chavano Park Bee Committee. I'd like for you to name the 1 staff member, 1 alderman, 3 residents, and 1 subject matter expert as advisor for the purposes of maintaining healthy beehives in a safe environment while promoting educational activities.
So moved.
No. You get to name 6 people. You have to name 6 people.
Well, we don't have the residents yet. We were gonna.
Oh, you don't have the
We're
residents
gonna
yet.
throw out, a seine and a cast net and try to
Can I
pull
name
them.
Conrad
Okay.
as the alderman?
No? No, I don't think so. I think that what you can do is that you can name your staff member, your alderman, and your subject matter expert, and leave it to the 3 of them to name the 3 residents, if that's acceptable to council.
So I'd be the
Okay.
alderman, it'd be Bill for the city, it would be Heather Wilk for our,
Okay, so state that as a motion, and then also say that the
all right.
3 will designate the 3 residents.
So the motion is motion to approve the creation of an ad hoc City of Chavano Park B committee with Bill Hill as the staff member, myself as the alderman, 3 residents to be named at a separate time, and the subject matter expert would be Heather Wilk.
Okay,
For the purpose of maintaining healthy beehives in a safe environment while promoting educational activities.
okay, you said at a later time, the 3 residents to be selected by the 3 members of the committee, or to come back to council? Okay, to be named by the committee. Okay, no, that's, okay, great. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the creation. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Conrad. Christian, I don't think you're going to be on this committee. I'm just sorry. Yeah. We have a motion to approve the creation of an ad hoc City of Chavano Park B committee consisting of Bill Hill as a staff member, Pete Miller as an alderman, 3 residents to be named by the other members of the committee, 1 subject matter expert, Heather Wilk, for the purpose of maintaining healthy beehives in the city of Chavano Park, promoting educational activities. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 4-0. Okay, item 8.5, discussion action, boards and commissions, appointment, designation of council subcommittee members to review and provide recommendations. Kristen, do you want to do this, or do you want me to do this? Okay, every year we, in the August time period, name a number of people, and I guess September, name new members to our various committees, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Board of Adjustments, the Tree and Beautification Committee, the Water Committee, the Investment Committee. There are 18 slots that are available this year. We have already had 14 or 15 applications for those committees. What we have been doing the last several years is that there have been 2 council members who have been reviewing the applications, having interviews with the people so that we have an opportunity to know the people who are coming on board and explain what the committee system is about. And it's been really quite successful. Pete, you seem to have drawn the black bean, and you were the perpetual member on this, so I'm going to ask that you make a motion to appoint 2 people to the boards and commission subcommittee.
So, yeah, I'll be glad to volunteer again. I think it brings a lot to be able to sit down and really talk to people and understand what their desires are, and to understand where the best fit for them is. One of the person that I learned a lot from was Maggie, and she played the other part of the role that we had. And since Christian has actually taken Maggie's role, I think he needs to take his role here. So if he's willing to accept it.
I'd be honored to.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's see your motion.
So the motion is to approve the appointment of Alderman Pete Miller and Christian to the Board of Commissions and to the Board and Commission Subcommittee.
Okay, we have a motion from Pete with a second from from Lee. Do we have any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 4-0. Without objection, we're going to dispense with, we're going to pull item 4, discussion action approval of Citigroup medical, dental, vision, life insurance for fiscal year 2027, and authorizing this city manager to enter into an agreement. Do I have any objection to pulling that item from the agenda? There being no objection, item 8.4 is pulled from the agenda. Brings us to item 8.1, discussion action ordinance O 2026-001, establishing a water supply fee for water customers of the City of Chavano Park System for the purpose of funding the purchase of Edwards Aquifer water acreage feet for the use of the water system. Al, I'm going to recognize you and Bill. Who's going to speak first? Bill.
So in general, I'll kind of tee it up, and then Al's going to come up and backstop me, but he's really going to talk about the town hall and kind of how that went from there.
Yeah, I'm also going to recognize the vice chairman if he has something to add to this as well as, yes.
And Steve's here, Steve Fleming as well.
Yeah, and Steve as well, yeah.
Okay, so most of you know this, but the Edwards Aquifer Authority, which is a regulatory body, governs the use of water from Edwards Aquifer. And it assesses pumping restrictions each day during the times of the lower aquifer and the droughts to limit the pumping and the use of the water rights in order to maintain an adequate water level in the aquifer. For example, in stage 3 restrictions, if you have 100 acre feet of rights, you're restricted 30%, and you would only able to be used 70% of that. It turns out that I think it was today or yesterday we actually moved into stage 1 for the first time in a long time. So that's very good. But the hot summer is getting ready to happen. In this briefing, again, I pulled about 7 or 8 slides. I did not include the entire slide deck from the town hall that we did. We do have them available, and we could refer back to them if someone has a question on it as we move forward from there. But basically, every year, we have a water advisory committee. It's made up of 8 residents of Chavano Park. They all live in the service area that the water system provides. We typically meet monthly. We develop the budget. We go through amendments. We look at all the advice that needed to operate on the water system. And we always look at the amount of pumpage of water that we have on a year-to basis. In fact, we look at it monthly. And then we assess that. We've probably been assessing the amount of water rights authorized for the City of Chavano Park to pump since the EEA was formed in January 2001. In that year, we were issued a initial permit, regular permit, of 541 acre feet. Acre foot, as you can see on the second line there, is 325,000 gallons plus. I'm told that back in the day that we used to pump over 1,000 acre feet, sometimes 900, but I've actually seen records where we've had 1,100 acre feet pumped. And over time, actual usage has gone down because people are cognizant of the aquifer and they're self-conserving, so to speak, just to work through all that. But the 541 was not enough. And so there was an initial surge in 2001, 2002, and 2003 to purchase almost 300 more acre feet. We just recently gained some records where in 2003 we purchased water rights for approximately $880 per acre foot. And so that's where we stand. In the last 3 years, as highlighted in the bottom right corner, we have had to sublease an additional 315 acre feet in 2023, 135 in 2024, and 266 acre feet in 2025. We are projecting already this year that we're going to have to lease between 100 and 200 acre feet this year. And so part of the consideration is, are you able to sublease, and what is the future going to entail? So in the last few years, we've been able to, at the last minute, sublease from people. It's not very easy to do. You got to really knock on doors and find them, but we've been able to do it at a reasonable cost. So the proposal to base by the WAC is, we're never going to get to where we buy enough acre feet, at least now, to where we can take care of every single year's drought. But we can move ourselves closer to that sweet spot where if we have to sublease, we're not trying to sublease 300 or 250 or a lot. We're at a much smaller level. Because we don't know in 10 years or 15 or 20 what the availability of subleased property is going to be in terms of water rights. The other thing that's occurring is the Edwards Aquifer Authority is constantly changing the rules. So it used to be when I first got here, if you didn't pump it, you didn't have to pay for it. And then if you didn't pump it, you could get credits for it. And now it doesn't matter whether you pump it or you don't pump it, you have to pay for it. We also know that in the broad scheme of things, SAWS is trying to buy thousands and thousands of acre feet. I know Leon Valley is trying to find acre feet. New developments that come in, and they want SAWS to provide the water rights to water service. SAWS will agree to do that only if the developer comes in with the water rights that they go purchase that they can then provide. So water is a commodity that is going to become scarce. And so generally speaking, we think we have a small window of opportunity, even though the prices have gone up. That's what we're going to do. Next slide. You can see this slide shows that in 2003, that line represents $880. And then from 2016 to 18 to basically 24 and 25, those are known price levels. So in 2018, when I first got here, we bought some acre feet for like $5,600, and that's what that in the middle of the chart shows. And you can see that that price has gone up almost double since then. Anyway, again, this is, if you were just looking at it this year, could we sublease more acre feet? And the answer, of course, is yes. In 20 or 30 years, we don't know, and this is all about protecting the water system. I don't have it in my brief, but if you were to look at the slides where you show the comparison of Chavano Park's water rates to the city of San Antonio's water rates, you'll see that we're fairly compatible and pretty much consistent at the lower levels, even though SAWS greatly subsidizes all their users that are in lower economic status or even, to a degree, low water users. But once you get to past 12,000 gallons, 18,000 gallons, you're talking about double, triple, quadruple the price in terms of what SAWS charges their residents. And a big part of that is a water supply fee, which is similar to what we're trying to apply, but ours at a much stable level. So again, I've already kind of talked about we're in a periodic and persistent drought, increased development, limited water rights. It doesn't actually influence what we can pump out of the ground. We can pump as much out of the ground as we want. We just get fined, and then we have to pay for the water rights in arrears, plus the fines and the embarrassment that would occur. But what we're really trying to do is protect the water rights for the long term. Next slide. So we bought some water rights last year for a little over $10,000. Most of the sellers were asking $14,000, $12,000, and through some tough negotiations, Johnny and I, we got those for $10,280 and $10,500. For budgetary purposes, we're saying $11,000. We may not be able to get 150 acre feet for $11,000, but if we did, that would be $1.65 million. And the Water Utility Fund does not have $1.65 million hanging around. That's about what our balance is, but we have a capital replacement fund, we have other infrastructures, and we certainly don't want to draw down to zero. So we're looking at financing this to a degree, which would mean there would be an annual principal payment plus an interest payment. The terms of that have not been finalized yet. So just for grins, we've used 5 years at 3.75 because that's what our money market is we're making in that now. There's been some upward inflation, upward gains in the money market. So what if the terms were more like 4% and we spread it out 6 years, or 4% for 5 years? You know, this is something that in the future will be determined once we buy the water rights, what is the exact terms. But for today's purposes, we just have some illustrations here. And, you know, shorter in a way is better to unencumber the water system and the city from this debt, but at the same time, if you can extend it, then that reduces the payment. And so a lot of that will depend upon the cost of the water and how that flushes out at the very end. So again, these aren't meant to be, this is what the exact terms are, but if you look at that, that's a range of $365,000 to $318,000. So we go to the next slide.
That's per month.
Yeah, per year.
Oh, right, I'm sorry, per year.
Per year.
For the 5 years.
So now what we're doing is we're looking at, okay, well, how do we recover enough funds to repay the principal and the interest in a reasonable amount of time? And so we came up with actually 9 options that the Water Advisory Committee looked at over a 3-month period of time. And so what you're going to see is option number 9 here, and the next slide is going to be 8. But I'm just going to cover this one here briefly. Part of the problem is the more you charge for water, the less users will use intuitively. So again, if you're actually looking to pay back a known debt, and we don't have economies of scale like Sauls does. Sauls has got, 400,000 customers residential customers that they provide water to, plus commercial. And so, you know, fluctuations here and there don't have a lot of effect from them, but it has some. This first proposal option, which is not the one that WAC recommended, the Water Advisory Committee, but is one to be considered, provides the most certainty in the fees collected. In other words, if we know that we have 684
Customers.
basically residential properties. They each have a meter, and then if you multiply that by 12, some of them are in tier 1 for a month, some are in tier 2, some in tier 3, and you can see that in tier 6, which is over 100,000 gallons of water used, you know, there are 153 months where one resident is used over 100,000 gallons. We actually make the most money when they use 100,000 gallons because it doesn't cost near as much to produce the water as it does to pump it. So, as to collect on it. But $36 per household, residential households, and there's a couple commercials we'd have to add in there, provides us $306,720, and that is a known. That will not be variable. That's the pros and the advantage to this is you have a fixed income. But you notice that 306 still is short the range that we showed you. Go back to the slide before. The slide before, that range is 312 to 365. So go back one slide. No, forward 2. So again, this is just, the 36 gets you into the ballpark. It doesn't get you to the whole cost of that. And next slide, option 2. Here we looked at a hybrid in which we charge each household $30, and then for tiers 3, 4, 5, and 6, there's an additional 15 or an additional 35 or an additional 25, 35, or 45. It's not cumulative, okay? So if you were Sauls, you would pay the 30 plus the 15. Then if you were tier 4, plus 25, plus 35, et cetera. So basically, you can see the little call-out box. The estimated revenues will float based upon the weather and demand. So if you have a real wet year and you don't have as much water used, you won't even pull in 307. That's the danger behind this one. But this does distribute some of the cost, the extra cost for the additional water to the higher water users. Now, Tier 3, Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's over, is that over 25,000 gallons or 20,000? Do you remember? Okay, somewhere right there. If you use 20,000 gallons, 22,000 gallons, you're still Tier 2. Most of our, there you go, 30,000. 30,000. Go back one. So you look at Tier 3, 4, 5, there's not a lot of revenue in those on those lines there. And again, it'll float from there, but it does cost share from there. And if you look at out of the numerous monthly bills, over 6,000 of the bills were Tier 1, Tier 2, and probably only about 2,500 are Tiers 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I will tell you that the WAC looked at a model that was strictly based upon tiers. So you started paying at Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5, and Tier 6, all different amounts. We considered how difficult that would be to administer, and then the fluctuations that would occur on them as we move forward, and we thought that this hybrid model would be about a balance. Next slide. This shows you the whole tier schedule that we currently have. You can see the biggest uptick in prices at Tier 6 after you use 100,000 gallons. Each 1,000 gallons costs you $11.94. Here's where you get to the specifics. 24% of our customers' bills are Tier 1, 48 are Tier 2. That's a total of 72% of the customers are all Tier 1, Tier 2, and would not receive those tiered influx. Any questions on that? Okay, next slide. Okay, turn it over to Al. Sorry to keep you up there so long.
It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. We had the privilege of holding a town hall meeting last Monday. We had a very good attendance. We had considerably more people there then than we do here tonight. Lots of good questions, a lot of interest. Water issues have certainly become high visibility in the state of Texas. Corpus Christi, many other cities are having water issues. As we build out more in this area, such as a Toyota plant, computer facilities, et cetera, and just simply people moving into the area, there's going to be a lot of pressure on the water. And there aren't going to be any more total water rights. So when we say we're leasing water, it's a rent. We pay rent for 1 year. When we purchase water rights, it is a contracted amount, and we actually have a deed to it, just like you're buying a piece of property. So we had a very good presentation, good discussion at the Water Advisory Committee. Received extremely positive feedback from the citizens, and I was shocked at the end. We actually received applause. So I believe Alderman Miller and Alderman Lyons were both there, and if you have questions and you'd like a more unbiased opinion, I'm sure either of them could help. So a lot of the feedback I've received, both in the town hall and also from citizens that live around me, is people appreciate the fact that Chavano Park allows the citizens of Chavano Park to make their own informed decisions as to what they want to do about watering. Do they water? When do they water? How much do they water? Obviously, we have a progressive charge for it, so the more you use, the more expensive it gets per 1,000. And that's why the Water Advisory Committee felt like putting a little bit of additional burden on the higher ones was a fair way to do that. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions that anybody might have.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask the first question before I go down the line, and that is, the numbers of 15, 25, 35, and 45, compared to what Bill showed us on his water bill, just seemed remarkably reasonable as you went through those tiers. Did you happen to consider the economic impact of going 20, 30, 40, and 50?
We looked at innumerable options. There was a lot of debate about it. This was the one that we felt was probably the best balance. Because the more you put into that, the more uncertainty there is as to whether you're going to receive that total revenue at the end of the year. And if we have a dry season, our income drops significantly. I'm sorry, a wet season, our income drops significantly. So Water Advisory Committee looked at lots of options. This was our best judgment.
Okay, so Bill, there's about a $13,000 delta if you had the same 28% of the users using those same numbers, and if you raise the fee by $5, this is getting us a long way there. It's not a perfect solution. It just kind of gets us close to where we hope to be. And how much heavy lifting do you need, or do you feel like we need to help provide in this case to get you toward that $312,000 to $365,000? Does raising these just slightly, less than a cup of Starbucks a month, to go from all the way up to $50 at that highest tier instead of $45, is that something that we should be considering, or do you feel comfortable that at these numbers that y'all are recommending for the tiered basis, that we're going to be able to service that debt? Because the last thing we want to do is have citizens that aren't on the water system saying, well, golly, the debt just seems to keep going on and nobody pays it.
Can I offer part of the answer to that?
Yeah, go ahead, Al.
We looked at various options. We felt that this was the best balance we could strike. Some of the numbers are imprecise. We do not know exactly what we're going to be paying per acre foot to purchase the water. So to try to be precise in this does not appear to be the best approach at this point in time. We feel this will get us in the ballpark. We felt like it was a fair balance, and that was why we chose the numbers. It clearly is council's option to do it any way you choose, but this was what we presented to the town hall and what we received good feedback on.
Okay, and great feedback. I'll just tell you the truth, that when I saw these numbers, Bill, and they got presented until you explained them more clearly right now, I thought that at the tier 6 number, we were paying $120. I thought it was accumulative, and it was like, well, you're using over 100,000 gallons of water. I guess that 120 as your impact fee plus the 30 doesn't necessarily offend me, but I just wanted to raise that because it comes to how much heavy lifting are we having to do on the backside in order to make the budget work when it comes time to service $365,000 a year out of the water system back to the general fund.
Yeah, I think Chairman is right. It's uncertain. This gets us in the ballpark.
Okay.
And again, we know if you increase the fee significantly for 3, 4, 5, or you even add some for 2, you're going to reduce the usage, and then what you're going to do is you're going to find yourself short on the operations and maintenance, and then you'll probably have to go back and raise a fee. So you got to, this is probably an initial starting point and balance, and then you might go adjust later, but you need to be more informed.
Okay. Alderman Miller has requested that I entertain a motion to approve ordinance O 2026-001, establishing a water supply fee for the water customers of Chavano Park System for the purpose of funding the purchase of the Edwards Aquifer acre feet for use in the water system with.
And I would like to add a little bit to that. So in addendum to that, the water supply fee would be incorporated. The Water Advisory Committee recommendation of option 2, which is a hybrid model that would include a $30 flat fee plus a tiered approach, a 3, 4, 5, 6 user approach, and that the $30 flat fee shall be discontinued at the time that the purchase loan is paid off.
What about the balance of the fees? What about the balance of the fees for the tiers 3 through 6?
Yeah, so it would be the recommendation that the Water Advisory Committee has made for 3, 4, 5, and 6.
All of them fall off after the loan is paid off.
Basically a sunset.
All of them sunset. That wasn't what I heard, but I just want to clarify. All of them sunset.
So I would look for,
Either way you choose to do it, I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference between the two. It's easy to sunset the whole thing.
Okay. Is that your motion?
so sunset.
Okay. Do I have a second? Second. Okay, we're now open for discussion. We have a motion from Pete and a second from Lee to approve ordinance O 2026-001, establishing a water supply fee for water customers in the Chavano Park water system for the purposes of funding the purchase of Edwards Aquifer Authority acre feet for the use of the water system using hybrid option 2 with a sunset of all fees at the retirement of the debt. Okay. Okay, we're now open for discussions. Christian?
Thank you very much for the great presentation, and I wanted to say, what a good job that you all did for the town hall. You did a phenomenal job in presenting the information in a consumable way for the citizens who came to hear the proposal as well as to ask questions. And I think that there was both positive replies to the presentation and also concerned citizens who asked some very good and tough questions because they were concerns, and you handled them brilliantly. And at the end of it, those folks who had concerns, you really assuaged them. So kudos to you on that. I thank you very much, Alderman Miller, for bringing up that additions, because I think that was feedback that we also heard at the town hall about creating a sunset to make sure that there's a finite amount of time that those fees will apply. So thank you for adding that addition. And I really want to commend your efforts and say thank you.
Okay. Pete?
Yeah, so just a comment. One of the things that I really appreciate too is the vision and the forward looking. As I look around San Antonio, this is a fast growing area. And as you look at the fast growing area, you know, the water that people need is going to continue to increase. So now, actually, you know, we would have done this sooner, that would have been great, but now is the time to secure these.
Okay, thank you, Pete. Any further discussion? If there are no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Want to recognize Alderman Buddy Alleman has now made it from jury duty. Thank you for joining us, racing across to the north side in order to join us.
cops behind me.
I hope not. I hope not. Okay, brings us to item 8.2. Buddy, we've now completed items 8.4, which was pulled from the agenda, 8.5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 8.1. So we are now back to item 8.2.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 8.2, discussion action, ordinance O 2026-002, amending Chapter 36 zoning to allow automotive quick leave service facility CC as a special use permit in B1, B2, and office districts. This is a second reading. I'm going to recognize Dave, Bill, and Curtis for purposes of this.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. I have a presentation that was largely presented last month. I'm happy to go through it if you want, because we're just towards the end of the meeting. If you want, I can just hit the highlights of stuff you asked for us to return back, but I'm happy to run through it. Mayor?
I think that for purposes of our citizenry, it'd help if you did kind of a part of it, lead us through it, and then we certainly want to hear back the feedback items that we had extended to you.
Absolutely.
And Paul, you may have comments as well during this section as well, because we do want to consider the noise, outdoor seating, spacing, and any additional exceptions that maybe want to be considered.
Okay. Well, on June 22nd, it was taken in front of City Council. A public hearing was held, and thereafter, it was the ordinance. This is kind of a package of two agenda items. I'm going to cover both 8.2 and 8.3. They really kind of move together. They're either disapproved or approved together. That makes sense logically. But this is ordinance 003. First reading was approved. City staff asked the Vice Chair David Zay of the Planning and Zoning to come and attend. The chairman was unable to make it, Kyle Horland, today. Council wanted assurances from the developer, Laddie Bitterblue, that the future development of the townhomes in PID would not be negatively affected. You'll see in this presentation that came back with that. And the council wanted assurances that the oil collection methods would meet all the environmental standards, and you'll see that we have some information on that. So the lot that we're talking about again is lot 2314 in the Pond Hill East Commercial, and that is right behind the Starbucks on the Loop 16 frontage road. The history of this lot is, in back to 2002, the land and all the Pond Hill East Commercial was zoned from A1 to B1 residential, or B1 commercial. Starbucks and McAllister's developed in the early 2000s. In 2018, Bill Miller purchased a lot next to 2314. That's the vacant lot. You can see the dirt. Or this is Whataburger. This is the Bill Miller lot. Bill Miller's purchased a lot next to it. Does have no development since 2018. In 2019, Whataburger developed the lot next to the Bill Miller. And in 2021, the Denton, Bitterblue, the Rogers Chavano Park Unit 189, sold the lot that we're talking about tonight, the Generations Community Federal Credit Union, which is the current property owner. And the credit unions, as a general note, do not provide any retail or sales tax to the city. No development actions were taken on this lot by Generations until in 2026, a couple months ago, RFM Commercial, Mark Bauer here representing, approached city staff with a proposal to subdivide the lot and develop in the 2 retail business that will generate sales tax. So RFM's proposal is for 2 tenants. It would include a Chipotle quick service restaurant with dine-in and drive-through services, as well as a professionally operated automotive oil change facility. So the 2 actions in the agenda is to allow those automotive oil change facilities, which are not allowed use in the B1 zoning districts today. This ordinance would add it, and add it as a CC use, so that if another business, another developer wanted to build another one of these, they have to come in front of planning and zoning and city council, just like I'm standing here today, and just like Mark Bauer, and they have to present it to council for approval. But this would be a professionally operated low-impact vehicle maintenance facility focused on routine oil changes and related light automotive services. There would be no storage of vehicles on the lot overnight, and in fact, we ban that in our ordinances that I'll get to. So this was in your packet. We have an email from Laddie Denton from Bitterblue. I'm not going to read all this, but it's just he's briefed on the slides. He's seen the site development plan. He knows RFM and the folks over there. We did review site plans, design, and use in the overall context for the area and intended uses in the PID, which is the 22 acres land next to it. It's going to have townhomes developed in it, really high end. We do not believe that 1604 uses will cause us a marketing or perceptual issue. So we are fine with the 1604 projects that are presented, and we have a follow discussion with the developers regarding site, signage, design questions, and we'll continue to work with them plan approval. And then he has some thanks for us, all including him, and asking for his opinion. So this proposed splitting of the lot, we're talking about 1.2 acres being split a 0.7 and a 0.53. The QSR is a term for a quick service restaurant. So that'd be the Chipotle on the side right behind the Starbucks. And then next to it would be the oil change, quick lube facility with all its lanes and customers coming in. Again, not people parking and leaving their cars overnight storage. There's not a lot of parking. There was a question on the parking, I remember, in the citizens to be heard. There's not a lot of parking that's necessary for a quick lube because all the customers come and go rapidly. So Chipotle's, I think everybody knows what they look like. I just went through and grabbed some photos of the developer of what this development could look like. This is a recent development Chipotle. It'd probably be something similar. We can't tell them what building materials they use in there, but Bitterblue does through deed restrictions. And so they've coordinated that with them, but that's good that they have that still, that authority. But it's going to be similar to the Starbucks and the McAllisters with trying to feature the limestone and those rugged colors. Here's a Take 5 that's been recently built here. The developer had a picture of. That's what this could look like potentially. Chavano Park, some Valvolines that are in the higher end areas and what that could look like here in Chavano Park. So there, again, there'd be no with this proposal from RFM, there'd be no outdoor storage of used oil filters, parts, tires, disabled vehicles, there's no waste materials, custom vehicles are staged only in designated parking and service areas. Facility will operate within appropriate environmental controls. They have to get TCEQ permits. All these businesses, wherever they build in Texas, are gonna get a TCEQ permit for these, even just temporarily holding the oil that they drain from the vehicles before they want to, this is a commodity that they want to sell in the aftermarket of the used oil market. They don't waste it. But even the temporary holding of it, and in your packet, there is a letter that the RFM was kind to provide from Half Engineering, the engineer for their project. And in there, it talked about how the double-walled underground containment tanks that would have to be for this within the concrete sub-foundation of the building. But that is a part of their TCEQ requirements. They have to have WPAP as well for this development. And so there's lots of controls besides the city's regulations. If you don't see regulations on these businesses about how they store their oil, it's because this is strong in the state regulations and it's not our authority necessarily. And the financial impact, these highlights here, this is all numbers been updated. They didn't give themselves a full credit. They ran their calculations only 1.25% sales tax collection, or actually 1.5. So anyways, the bottom line though is the development could provide $71,400 in sales tax revenue, $15,000 in ad valorem tax revenue annually to the city. They base that based upon Chipotle's sales, $4 million annually. I won't again run through all these numbers, but this is in the packet for you. It's a small update with the 1.5, which of course is split between the general fund, street maintenance, and crime control, but it all helps. So getting exactly to the agenda item 8.2, what is before you on this agenda item? This is simply adding the CC special use permits as an allowed use within the B1 zoning category. You can see the little track changes there in red, automotive quick lube service facility CC. Many of those uses, if you look through the table, antique store, art gallery, museum, bar, tavern, they're not defined, actually. That's a job for Bill and I. We have to sometimes with these developments is to fit into the definition within our code when we're talking to a business. Are they allowed to come into Chauvin Park? But here we don't want to leave that to guests. We want to actually define what these businesses are. Automotive quick lube service facility means a specialized service center designed for rapid, routine, preventative vehicle maintenance such as oil change, filter replacements, and tire inflation. Routine preventative vehicle maintenance extending longer than 24 hours is prohibited. In addition, no overnight storage of customer vehicles is allowed at these facilities. So that is the agenda item 8.2. If you don't mind, I'll go into 8.3 real quick. I think it will help inform you before you make a decision 8.2. There's been some changes in 8.3, the next agenda item, which is where the actual application from RFM to do this development, we've added, we worked with our attorneys and we strengthened the controls over it. So last month, I showed you this slide on how we were saying the ordinance shall only grant the right to construct one automotive quick lube service facility, ruling out that if they subdivided and they try to get cute and build 2 of these, they can't do that. And we said that no additional automotive service may be added, expanded, or substituted beyond the scope of the routine preventable vehicle maintenance without a new CC special use permit by City Council. Again, ruling out that this business that would build couldn't, through Project Creep, start adding more services, then you start seeing vehicles being stored over a long time and it becomes an eyesore. They would have to come back to City Council for approval to do any of that. We have here in section 1, we added the site plan as an exhibit within the ordinance, and then we said the granting of the special use permit, this is all in the highlighted yellow, for an automotive quick lube service facilities requires a restaurant use within the development as depicted in Exhibit A. Any change to the proposed land uses as depicted in Exhibit A requires City Council approval. Again, we thought this would strengthen the concern that we heard from some on council and some even at P&Z, is that there was a worry that, okay, City Council would approve this and the developer wouldn't actually deliver the restaurant use, which is, I think, what most people are more interested in getting is a bigger sales tax generator. So we're trying, this control would mean that if they're not going to build the restaurant, they have to come back to City Council. So there's.
Thank you, Curtis. Before I recognize Dave to describe the P&Z process, I just want to clarify, this is a change to the B1, not to B2, although B2, it's available This would be a use available in B1 and B2, but not in the O districts.
Yes.
Yes. No, I'm just confirming that because
Correct.
unfortunately, when I reviewed we talked about it at the last meeting, but when I reviewed the agenda, I did not strike office district, and I want to clarify that it doesn't apply to the office districts. Well, anything you can do in B1, you can always do in B2 because it's down zoning, but it applies to B1, and then B2 is a lower category, so you can do it in B1 and B2. Dave, if you'd come forward so that you can tell us a little bit about the planning and zoning process, how the vote went, your discussions, a little bit of that kind of stuff.
Thank you. I'm the vice chair of the P&Z, and I'll say that of the year and a half I've been on the commission, we had a hearty discussion. This is probably one of two that we've had, and the other being the trail. So our focus was basically, if we're going to change the rules, is it within our city strat plan? Does it meet those guidance? I'll tell you that the initial discussion we had, the first reading, we were not really in favor of the concept because this is a huge step. You know, we haven't allowed auto stores or whatever in our city for a reason, so we kind of had the discussion about why we did that and history about projection. When we looked at our open plots of land for development in the city, we were like, okay, what else do we have to do? The developer made a very good presentation about this actual plot, that with Chipotle being the anchor, if you will, the Quick Lube is a smaller portion, and to have another, we focused on, okay, what else could we put in there? You know, another restaurant, it's not really big enough for another restaurant. So it's either, has sat vacant for, the 5 years or whatever since the credit union bought it. We were thinking, okay, for the planning of the city, what would be best for our citizens? And yeah, we said that, an oil lube place, we could go down to Military Drive, and Huebner is maybe a close one, but along 1604, there's really nothing available to our citizens. So we kind of focused on what else could we do with this as if another developer came and presented something. But we also had a hearty discussion about the oil drainage and how it affected the townhomes and the adjacent property that lays down below it, if you will. But I think our focus was really on knowing that Chipotle was the focus, and the lot is very small to develop.
Okay. And it was reported that the vote was a 9-0 vote.
There was a non-vote, and one, I believe she changed her vote, but there was some concerns just about the oil and the proximity to the townhomes, but I think we focused on the development and what would be best for the residents.
Okay. Bill, anything else that you'd like to add?
No, and remind you that Mark's behind me here, and he's the one that's got the mastermind of the plan, if you want to ask him specific questions. I think there was a question about whether there was going to be outdoor dining. I don't think there is, but he would be the one that would ask.
Yeah, well, that would be a part of the South Plan, which is the second, which is 8.3. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance O 2026-002, amending Chapter 36 zoning to allow automotive quick lube service facility, CC, as a special use permit in B1 and B2, not office. Yeah, B1 and B2 business. Do we have a motion?
So, Mayor, I'd like to revise that motion. So,
Well, no, I'm entertaining a motion. You're making whatever motion you want.
okay,
Yeah.
so here's the motion. So the motion to approve ordinance 02026-2, amending Chapter 36 zoning to allow automotive quick lube service facilities as a special use permit in B1, B2 business and office district.
Not office district.
Okay, I'll tell you that, so strike that. Under the following conditions. Approval of any special use permit of the automotive quick lube service facility shall be contingent upon the development fully satisfying all commitments presented to City Council regarding the establishment of the Chipotle restaurant. So in short, once the Chipotle restaurant is operational, the special permit would be approved for the other. The other condition would be that the automotive quick lube service facility shall be oriented next to the Starbucks company building in the most westerly part of the lot to minimize visual impact to neighboring community.
Okay. I understand that fully as far as ordinance 2026-003. 002 is just two lines, two sections revising chapter 36. So I'll hold that motion in abeyance, but first we have to approve chapter 36's amendment before I think we want to consider the amendment of chapter 36 before we consider the amendment to the actual agreement, okay? So do I have a motion to approve the amendment of chapter 36 zoning for B1 and B2?
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Conrad to approve ordinance 2026-002, amending chapter 36 zoning to allow automotive quick lube service facility CC as a special use permit in B1 and B2 district. This is a second reading. Do I have a second?
I second it.
We have a second from Buddy. We're now open for discussion on the amendment solely of chapter 36. Okay, Pete.
So when I moved to Chavano Park, we moved here about 7 years ago, and we purchased a lot and built a home. And what attracted me to Chavano Park is it's very, very different, and you know the difference when you're here. And so it's funny, when you go down Northwest Military, I know when I'm in San Antonio, and I know when I'm not in Chavano Park. It's a very different feel. It's a very different feel. And so my concern is this starts to erode that feeling, and this is the reason why I wanted to be part of Chavano Park. My view is this doesn't add to what we're trying to achieve, the vision of Chavano Park. I mean, I know one of the things is when you look at the town plan, there's competing priorities in there. I get that we're looking for revenue, we're looking for that, but to me, the higher priority is the vision, the feel that we're looking for the city. And to me, this doesn't give that feel. And I, you know, it's not what the vision that I hope to see for Chavano Park.
Okay, thank you, Pete. Others? Christian?
Thank you very much again for the reading. Just as we gave a little bit of a presentation again for the first reading, I'm going to offer some of my comments. They're probably similar to after the first reading as well. In putting in a quick lube facility, I think we have to ask for Chavano Park, similar to what Alderman Miller had said, is this the vision we had for Chavano Park? And two, is this a service that's really desired and demanded by Chavano Park citizens? And is 1/6 of the revenue, I'm using the updated numbers of $60,000 versus $11,500, about 1/6. Is that worth an exception to the ordinance? And would another option, such as another restaurant to offer diversity or another business option within the current ordinance rules, offer better revenue and better meet the wants and needs of our citizens? And doing a little research via the Urban Land Institute, quick lube facilities are better for owners developers because they offer better profit margins due to simpler operations and lower labor costs, but it doesn't realize a greater tax revenue for the city, as we've already demonstrated. And this location is nice because it offers easy access for folks to get in and out of a quick lube facility. I get that. And if this can be argued as a needed daily necessity, the Urban Land Institute argues that it might be good to have such a facility. But how many of these quick lube facilities do we need? And are there other very close quick lube options? Between where that lot is, 2.7 miles away, just on the other side of Hebner is another Valvoline. So that's it within seven minutes. And the National League of Cities touts that an urban planning concept of necessities and services being within 15 minutes of where you live is a desirable plan for the city. So we already have one within 7 minutes, the same brand that we're talking about potentially putting in. You know, perhaps we already meet the needs of our citizens. And I introduced this last time, doing a quick look on maps. There's 7 Take 5 facilities just outside of Chavano Park city limits. There's 5 Valvolines just outside of Chavano Park city limits, and I used 281, 1604, 410, and I-10 as kind of my limits of the area that I looked. But in all of San Antonio, there's between 200 and 240, and this is via Google, dedicated oil change and quick lube facilities. When you look at broader automotive maintenance, the broader automotive maintenance footprint, it's well over 1,000 businesses. By contrast, via Google, there's 21 Chipotles. So 1,000 places I could get my oil change versus 21 places where I could get my Chipotle. So, you know, and the citizens to be heard comments we heard earlier this evening, we heard concerns about precedent being set where I get it, we can, any other place that perhaps wants to put on an oil lube facility or other still has to come before city council. But it's hard for us to say, no, we're gonna allow it for them, but not somewhere else, when we have a very, very small amount of developable land within Chavano Park. And so that finite amount of land, I think, needs to be considered when we're talking about our city plan and the vision that we have for Chavano Park. And I appreciate the other comments about the potential for noise, parking concerns, or other. I do want to commend the developer and for planning and zoning consider things like pollution and making sure that we're keeping up with ecological considerations. And I think that you did a good job of switching my concerns on that in the last meeting, but that concern is still out there that I think we need to be very cognizant about of our citizens. And I will say that restaurants are better hubs for social interaction, and they employ more people, and they're a better source of revenue. And I think also that our citizens, they like diversity of choices, and another restaurant provides that for us. And we don't need to grant an ordinance exception to another restaurant. Now, I'm very understanding of the fact that the amount of space that's there doesn't offer perhaps for another restaurant, but is there another option that meets our city's vision, will provide us the revenue that we need, and is worth holding out for? And allows us to still protect the city ordinance as it's currently written. I think these are all things that we need to consider as we go to vote on this. And I'm concerned too that maybe a lot of our citizens in Chavano Park didn't realize that this is a consideration for how we're going to develop this land. We had a great town hall for the changes to the water through the Water Advisory Committee and the increased fees that we're gonna make. But you can make an argument that, well, that applies a lot more to Chavano Park citizens than this plot of land on the north side of Chavano Park. But I'm concerned that a lot of our citizens didn't know about it perhaps, because maybe they would have had a lot more to say and give us more feedback. And in a quick ask around the neighborhood that I've done, it's, hey, have you heard about this? And, you know, kind of just, what do you think? I've had a lot of people who were concerned with putting an oil change facility with the Chipotle and the fact that they didn't think it matched the Chavano Park vision, and they didn't think it made sense, and they had environmental concerns and other. Although there was also some people who said, on my south side of Cliffside, it's way away from me, it's up near 1604, it doesn't matter to me. So there was some diversity in opinion, but for the most part, people were concerned about this motion. I applaud planning and zoning for bringing this forward because I think it's worthwhile for us to consider. There's multiple things that we as a council need to consider, such as revenue for the city, such as developing the land that we have. But I don't think the current proposal as set up to grant this exception meets that vision for our city of Chavano Park. So thank you for entertaining my comments.
Okay, Buddy?
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize I wasn't available to hear the citizens and what they had to say about this project. But I will say this, as being part of planning and zoning, along with Bob, we spent a lot of time in planning and zoning, And automotive has always been a hot spot, always. Everybody has always raised questions whether automotive facilities of any type would be okay to build in Chavano Park. Whereas, as being on city council, we don't want to impede on the ownership rights of the people who have bought this property years ago. But at the same time, we want to make sure that they do have a vision and they do keep up with the need of Chavano Park residents. And I think the community will decide as a whole, if they don't like what they're doing, they'll stop going there. And so we, as a city council, I think the economic risk is on the ownership, on whether or not they comply with the wants and needs of our city. If they don't, people aren't going to go. But yet, they have the right to build on their property. I think Planning and Zoning's done a great job of bringing things forward and putting restrictions in the spirit which we wrote the ordinances several years ago. And they've been written several times over and over again. We have refined them. We have put them in line with the town plan. And I think that we owe it to the citizens or the people who own the property and give them a chance to do what they want as long as they're within the spirit of the ordinances that were written the way we put them together. And like I said, I commend Planning and Zoning of what they've done. I think they have brought that true spirit out, and that we need to offer the ownership a chance to implement the concept they want. And they're abiding by the TCEQ parameters to where, you know, we're not putting a risk on the townhomes or the city or the Edwards Aquifer. So I commend them.
Okay. Lee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer up a couple of random thoughts in no particular order. At the intersection of IH-10 and UTSA Boulevard on the northeast corner is a Hyundai dealership. Cross over to the other side of 10 and go south, 5 car dealerships, total of 6 within eyesight of each other. I don't think the argument that we've got too many of something. Guess what? We've got a Starbucks up here, and somebody let them build another coffee shop right across the street. You could literally throw a rock and hit each one of them from the other side. So I don't think like-kind businesses being close to each other is a viable argument. DCEQ is a much stricter regulatory agency than we can ever be. If they say it's going to be safe, it's going to be safe. Oh my goodness, we've got a big gas station up here that services, what, 1,100 cars a day. I wonder what's in the ground underneath those pumps and who regulates that. So I think the argument against that doesn't hold water. We've been told from the get-go that this piece of land owned by a credit union is so incredibly expensive, nobody even mows the grass. It's a jungle over there, and nobody wants it. Well, why don't they want it? Well, it's too expensive. Somebody comes in here, a gift horse, and tells you, you know, if you work with me, we'll split it up, we'll put you in a nice little Chipotle restaurant. I like Chipotle. It's not tier 1, but it's okay. Some sort of an oil change next door to it. My wife owns a security company. We have a small fleet. Guess who takes the cars in to get the oil change when they need it? And it's quick, it's easy, and the people there are friendly, working hard. We make money off the oil and filters, not off the labor. And they do a pretty good clip down there where we take it. By the way, it's a 5-minute lube place. I think that if you want to keep Chavano Park like it was, I will tell you a story about 1976. A fresh new county police officer, me, was dispatched over to what is now the fire department with City Hall because of an impending riot, because City Council was meeting in what is now the kitchen, and they needed police protection because there was a hot ticket item. The hot ticket item was a retired 1-star general from World War I who was complaining about the fact, believe it or not, somebody put a red light at De Zavala and Military Highway. It's no longer a 3-way stop, by God. No riot ensued, but they put the red light up anyway. So we're going to have to roll with the punches. I note that when COVID hit, Bill Miller quit the development of that pad next to Whataburger. Maybe The old adage, if you build one gas station in the middle of nowhere, you're going to do some business. You build a competing gas station on the opposite corner, they're both going to get rich. I would like to see another restaurant. The fact that we have to take on a oil change place doesn't strike me because I'm a guy and I built cars to go through high school and college, and the smell of oil doesn't offend me. So I think that we've got a gift horse, and I'd like to see us climb on the back and ride. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Conrad?
I think when I first heard about this, it didn't appeal, an oil change place. I think that's because you think about a mechanic shop, and you think about maybe tires on the side, you think about oil everywhere. You have this vision of a mechanic shop, but that's not what this is. This is an oil change place. We change our oil down here at Valvoline, and you jump in there and you're done in 15 minutes. Really quick, not that noisy. There's no music playing. That's one of the things you think about a mechanic shop, right? Like back in the day, you hear this loud music and ratchets going, all that, and that's not there. So that goes away, but it's still, you think it's an oil place. This is, like y'all say, this is what we need, right? Well, there's too many of them. And then you think about, like, great presentation, there's lots of them. Well, there's a reason why, because customers are wanting them highly convenient, much like a gas station. And to what Lee was saying is about this very busy gas station right across Military. So I start to lose that sort of negative vision of what this is. It's just an oil change place. It has 3 or 4, I guess, garage doors on the front, and they're in and out, and they're closed at night. And there's some shrubbery around there, and it's going to, I'm sure, be nice. So then you think, well, what else is there? So some citizens are against it, and I completely understand that, as I stated from the start. But then we go to the developer, and the developer says, I don't think that this is not going to harm my business, and he's putting in townhomes that are very valuable. He has skin in that game that is just across the street, basically. And he says, this isn't going to hurt what I'm doing here, this project. And it's millions of dollars. It's private property, somewhat of what Buddy was talking about. This isn't city property. This isn't our property, the city's. It's somebody else's that has not utilized it for what they said they would for years now. And this land is set there sort of, I'll call it dormant, for a very long period of time. And now we have a developer that says, you know what, I can fit financially in there with a Chipotle and then something that's a little less desirable. And I think if it was just a Chipotle, there would be no discussion. This would be 100%, no problem. So it looks like to me that this is not as bad as it looked from the start. And again, my first notion was like, I don't know if that's going to work. There's also a discussion going around that I think none of us have talked about yet, that, oh, we're acting too quick. I don't see that as the case. I think we've been waiting for a solution to come along. And I think the solution is before us. And so I don't, the sales tax numbers and all that, I just put that in the back of wasn't even looking at that. So then if I start to look at that, and I say as a group up here, and for me, while technically we don't really necessarily have a fiduciary duty to this city, it is right there at it. And so we do have that responsibility up here to look at the numbers and say, is this additive to us financially as well? And it meets that. I don't think anybody's going to disagree that it would meet that. It's just what is it? And then I go back to the 3 bays and the doors that are shut at night and the plants and whatever else, that it's going to look nice for what it is, for a box. It's a box with cars that drive in and then drive out. And for me, that sums it up. And I don't think we're giving up. I don't think we're giving up a lot here. I think we're getting value. I think we're getting service. And I'll go back to, there's a lot of them because customers are demanding that. And that's got to be why that's there. So I'd go back to Lee a little bit and what this is. So that's my sum total of how I see this, and how it works for us in our community. It's a private property, and do we let the developer do this? Land that's been sitting there for a very long period of time, and it has a good, useful part here.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. If there are no further comments, discussion, we have a motion to approve ordinance O 2026-002, amending Chapter 36 zoning to allow automatic quick lube service facility CC as a special use permit in B1, B2 business. This is the second reading. All in favor, say aye.
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 And all opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
The motion carries 3-2. Item 8.3, discussion action ordinance O 2026-003, granting an automatic quick lube service facility CC special use permit in a B1 commercially zoned lot designated lot 1314 of Block 44 and County Block 4782E of the Pond Hill East Commercial Subdivision. This is the second reading. Bill Curtis, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
As for the actual ordinance, I don't have anything to particularly add. I covered it, the amendment we added, working with our attorney to strengthen the controls on this land after city council approves this. The developer's not gonna try to pull a fast one on you. They have to come back and I just covered that. I'm happy to cover that again, but I have nothing further to add to the actual ordinance.
Okay. Pete, I kind of cut you short to get through 8.2, and I'm going to come back to you for 8.3 because I'd recognized you and let you make your motion.
All right, so the motion, I'll reread it, is motion to approve ordinance O 2026-02.
03.
03, sorry, 03. Amending chapter 36 zoning. No.
Granting, you need to
right.
go with what's written and then add what you want to add at the end.
Where's it? All right. Hang on. Okay. Motion to approve ordinance O 2026-02.
03,
03, what is on the,
you're on the wrong line. Go down to 8.3.
got it, okay. All right. So this is the ordinance granting quick lube special use permit.
Yes.
All right. Motion to approve ordinance O 2026-003, granting the automotive quick lube service facility special use of permit B1 commercial zoning lot designated lot 2314 of block 44 in the county block 4782E in the Pond Hill East Commercial Subdivision under the following conditions. Approval of any special use permit for automotive quick lube service facility shall be contingent upon the developer fully satisfying all commitments presented to City Council regarding the establishment of a Chipotle restaurant. In short, once the Chipotle restaurant is operational, the special use permit will be approved. And the second condition is the automotive quick lube service facility shall be oriented next to the Starbucks Coffee Company building in the westerly part of the lot to minimize visual impact to neighboring communities.
Okay. So the ordinance is provided, and the condition for the city council use permit is is only granted on the completion of the Chipotle, and that the quick lube would be placed on the most westward portion of the lot next to the Starbucks. Okay, want to make sure that I understood that. Okay, so we have a motion from Pete. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second from Christian. We have a motion and a second, which means we're now open for discussion on the ordinance as proposed. Lee?
Yes, sir. It's a parliamentary question that I'll direct to you, sir. That effectively doubles the number of words in what we read as first reading, and it puts in some strong caveats that, in my mind, undermines the intent, purpose, and spirit of the original reading from the first.
Doesn't matter.
You're sure it doesn't matter?
It
Okay,
doesn't
that's why I
matter.
go to
No,
you, sir.
Think about budget ordinances or budget actions in Congress. The budget action has all kinds of things, and then all of a sudden you look at it months later after it comes out of the House and Senate, and it doesn't look at all like what you thought it was going to look like. All they have to have is a basket to carry the ordinance in. And the first reading was a basket that said we're talking about quick lubes. If we were now talking about daycare centers, then that would be exactly the right
Okay.
thing. But we're not, we are still talking exclusively about quick lubes or quick lube facilities.
Just try and stay out of the minefield for future
Yeah, no,
reference.
it's a great question, great question.
Mr. Mayor, can I have a point of clarification?
Yes.
And this is directed towards Bill and Curtis. On the reading, on Pete's motion, is it in accordance with what you sent us as far as what the attorney drafted up and what Bitter Blues approved?
Yeah, so, and you'll probably want to talk to Mark about it as well, too. What we did is we tried to meet the same intent that you did in your motion. But what I think your motion does is you may have intended it, but I think it may have unintended consequences. So let me just read back. Maybe Curtis, you can go to the exact language. What we added in there with the attorney's advice, and it was coordinated with Mark, was that the permit would only be approved as depicted in Exhibit A. Exhibit A is very specific right here, right there. And it requires a restaurant use. We purposely didn't say Chipotle because he's got a letter of intent. He's working on a lease. You can explain all that. But, if it was a chicken place or something like that, I don't know that we would care whether it's a Chipotle or whether it's, what did you have for lunch? Chick-fil-A. A Chick-fil-A. I don't think we care. We want a restaurant there. So it says, again, it requires a restaurant use within the development as depicted by Exhibit A. Any change to the proposed land uses as depicted in Exhibit A require City Council approval. So the ordinance is written to achieve the same thing. The issue that you'll have to talk to Mark about is, and I talked to him about this, is the development of these things are concurrent. You're asking them essentially, hey, go out there, secure Chipotle, get a permit, build it. Once it's built, then work through this. And again, he's already briefed you and me, because I've had a number of conversations with him, is that he needs a package deal. And timing is everything. And so I'll just be quiet because I want you to make sure that we think we've already got a restaurant built into the ordinance that it requires him to do that. We talked about the timing of the permits, because we do this all the time. Someone takes a two-car garage that's attached to their house and they want to build they want to close it in. And we've had
and that's
one.
my whole point. I want to make sure we have a meeting of minds and we can move forward
Right.
without delineating things and
Right.
stalling them.
So in the permitting process, we say, hey, well, you guys, remember you required a two-car garage in Elm Springs. We're dealing with one right now. I was like, well, I didn't know that. Okay, we'll go back to the drawing board, get your thing. We'll hold your permit. We've got this. So you submit your plans. We do this, and then we approve basically both of them at the same time. And that's how we did that. We have controls. We talked to Mark about that because as he develops this thing, it's concurrent. And so I'll shut up because I just want to make sure. I think we've got it covered, but.
And that's a great explanation, Bill. And so the question is, okay, Pete, what Bill is telling us, I think, is he's going to bring us a building plan at the same time, and if he doesn't present both building plans at the same time, then he's not gonna get either one of the building plans.
So what you're asking for, Mayor, is as an amendment. So if somebody wants to make an amendment to mine,
No,
Motion.
I'm just, no, I understand. Conrad?
Is there an instrument that we could put in place that says the builder will do this congruent with each other and both will be erected and in business at some point in a date that,
Well, then
that
now
works.
you brought up a new thing that he has to submit the building plans within a certain date. Bill has told you that based on what the attorney had proposed, that Bill is not going to issue a building permit that doesn't do these things simultaneously. Pete is saying he'd like to have A and then B. Bill is saying, no, I think we can get there simultaneously. Right now, the motion is A and then B. We can either vote on it, or somebody can make an amendment to that motion, and then you can start all over. Christian?
May I make a comment? I think that Pete's concern is making sure that we have, and the developer told us, hey, it's a package deal. That's how the numbers work, right? So just let's make sure that the restaurant is in there, then we'll move forward with the oil change, the quick lube facility, right? And the orientation is more perhaps presentable in the needs of the city. And so I think that Alderman Miller's asking for compromise. Just as you've asked us to compromise for a way, you being the developers, has asked us to compromise on ordinance 2026-002. Got that right, I think? So I think that Pete is just asking for a compromise for the orientation of how it happens to make sure that the vision, the needs of the community, or whatever, are still met accordingly.
Okay, so now let's just go back and
Is that
clarify
correct?
one more thing. One more thing on that. Once you break ground, you've broken ground, and it's really, you're not coming back. Okay, I'm sorry, I got away from my mic. Once you break ground, you've broken ground.
Okay.
Are you saying completion, or are you saying breaking ground on the restaurant? I'm asking you what you wanted, Pete, because, well, it is completion, okay. Okay, Conrad,
could we ask the developer?
Yeah, I'd really like to speak. I'm kind of dying here.
You've been so patient.
Okay, I don't have a problem at all in saying that I have to get the building permit for the Chipotle before I get the Valvoline. I am further along with that, but to say it has to be open for business just doesn't work. It just takes too long. It takes too long to build the building, then I have to put Valvoline off, and it just doesn't work for us. As far as flipping the sites, we've looked at this several times, and the grades for the way this building is situated, the grades just don't work. That's a long building, and it just doesn't work on the other site, and that's our problem. The other real problem is I have real estate committees that literally are approving things. I mean, the levels of approvals for these companies, you just can't imagine how long it takes and how difficult it is. If I start over with them right now and say, Chipotle, can you please go on the other side? I'm starting from ground zero. I know it seems crazy, but you're starting from ground zero. I don't know if I can even go back to them. We're just way beyond that. But I would be willing to say I will get the Chipotle. You don't have to approve the Valvoline special use permit until I have the building permit, or even like start construction, because once I get the permit, I'm going to start right away, if that would give you more comfort. And I do feel like these are really the only two tenants I'm working with. It's really Valvoline and Chipotle or bust at this point in time. I mean, we just have spent way too much time, money, effort, and everything. So this is the plan, but flipping it is a problem, and the fact that you would want it open, that's a big problem. So that's my 2 cents worth.
And I'm just trying to understand, here's the site plan. So you got Whataburger here, we're going to have a Bill Miller's there whenever they decide to build it.
Okay, can you just tell him what they told you when you told them about the development?
Well, I went to Aggie Park, I think I've told him once before, but I went to Aggie Park, and the CEO of Bill Miller's is an Aggie, and I'm like, when are you going to build me my Bill Miller's? And he's like, well, 1604 hit, COVID hit, we went to some redesigns, but because I thought it was going to be this year, but he's like, well, not this year, but soon. And then I said, well, it's kind of funny, we got some townhomes going in there. We potentially may have a hotel. We're going to have some other retail that's in there. We got a dentist's office here, and we have a Chipotle Quick Lube that our Quick Lube of some sort in there. And I'm not exaggerating when he said Quick Lube. Oh, well then they have a term for it where it's not hits, it's not visits, it's exposures, and some term where you drive by and then you have an opportunity. Oh, well, you're in a Quick Lube. I'm going to go to the Whataburger. I'm going to go to the Bill Miller. And so he was optimistic that it might actually drive up sales. And so, but I'm just looking at this, and whether or not that thing is here, which is covered by a Bill Miller, there's going to be office buildings here. There's a dentist office here. There's another dentist office that's being developed right here. This is Pond Hill. It goes up like this. And the townhomes are over here. Whether it's on this side or that side, I'm just saying, I don't see the advantages. And I've talked to Mark about this, and I've said, hey, several people have told me that they would like to see it on this side, and he's like, it doesn't work because of the engineering. But if I'm just being completely objective, not arguing with anyone, is there really an advantage to being on the west or the east side? And there's a little feeder road, yeah, right here you can access into here. How much traffic is really, residential traffic is going to be coming from here to there that's really going to care whether there's, I just don't see it. I'm just not trying to argue, just pointing that out.
Okay. Conrad?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Pete's getting to the visual effect of this place and what it looks like. I've spent some time over there and trying to walk it and look, and I'm guessing that because it would be behind Starbucks and what you're talking about, the grade, and it would be less visible. Is that, yeah. So that's the idea. So maybe we go with that idea and just understand that maybe there's some really nice landscaping, like I was talking about earlier, or something like that, the commitment on your part to make that happen.
Okay.
Yes, no.
Definitely open to that.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've talked around the issue on Pete's motion. You have two choices. You can approve Pete's motion, or you can amend Pete's motion, three options. You can vote down Pete's motion and start over. So we have a motion and a second. Is anybody offering anything different? Because Pete said, well, if you want to amend it, amend it. Conrad?
Yeah,
Our buddy?
Go ahead, buddy.
I mean, I'll give Pete the option. If you don't want to take the option, I'll amend it.
Okay, well, then we'll consider the amendment.
Pass your paper down. No. Yeah, I will. I'll use your notes. Motion to approve ordinance 0/2026-03. Chapter 36, automotive quick lube facility as special use permit, B1, B2/B2 business districts under the following conditions, and the restaurant prerequisite approval of any special use permit for an automotive quick lube service facility shall be contingent upon the developer fully satisfying all commitments presented to the city council regarding the establishment of a restaurant, period. And fast lube orientation, the automotive quick lube service facility shall be oriented next to the Starbucks coffee. Scratch that and just leave it at that with their full commitment.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Can I
Lee.
get a clarification on that? That was
I'll
reading
give you a clarification, but first I want to listen to
Pass
Lee.
it to Bert.
the language. That's the wrong
okay,
ordinance.
sir,
Yes,
my name's Powers. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for being here. I understand topography and the requirements of building places where they can take advantage of topography, access to sewerage and water, et cetera, et cetera. Done some building myself. I want to make sure that we get a clean read on this, and before I vote on it, I want you to tell me if it's a deal killer, as I heard you say a little while ago in nicer terms, before I vote on it. So if, Mr. Mayor, if you could read the ordinance that we're going to be voting on, a clean version, so he can listen to it, make sure that we're on the same
We got to
page.
make sure we get 03, not
Yeah,
02.
03, because we got 002 again.
We got a sec, we need a second.
Okay, buddy, what I think you've said is motion to approve ordinance O 2026-03 to allow an automatic quick loop service facility, CC, under Chapter 36 as a special use permit in B1, B2 business under the following conditions. Well, under the following conditions, approval of the special use permit for an automatic quick loop service facility shall be contingent upon the developer fully satisfying all commitments presented to the city council regarding the establishment of a restaurant. Yes,
So I'm looking for something that includes County Block 4782E.
okay. No, I'm just taking what was handed to me there. Okay. Okay, so now I'll read what I think Bill is suggesting in addition to the other. Motion to approve ordinance O 2026-003, granting an automatic quick loop facility, CC, special use permit to a B1 commercially zoned lot designated Lot 2314 of Block 44 of County Block 4782E in the Pond Hill East Commercial Subdivision, under the following conditions: approval of any special use permit for an automatic quick loop facility shall be contingent upon the developer fully satisfying all commitments presented to the city council regarding the establishment of a restaurant.
So moved.
No, I'm asking
I'm
you.
telling you, I'm good with it.
I'm just telling you what I think you said.
Yep.
Yes, Lee?
I'm comfortable with that. Yes.
Well, we didn't exactly get a presentation from the developer, right? Like the commitment we talked about is,
No, Bill has the drawing. We have the drawing that we have
the
here.
drawing and that, so we're gonna base it off of that?
That
Okay.
is what
Okay.
we're basing this on. Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, I have a motion to amend. And I'll ask Pete whether you consider this to be a replacement motion or a motion to amend.
It's a replacement, right?
Okay, so it just means it takes two votes. Okay, do I have a second on the replacement motion, which is a motion to amend? Do I have a second? Okay, so now I have Buddy and Lee. Okay. On the second motion, Do we have any further discussion on the second motion? Okay, there being no discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Okay, that motion carries 4-1. Okay, now, that motion has become the primary motion. We have to vote again on exactly the same thing. Okay, so as the primary motion, we have a motion to approve ordinance O 2026-003, granting an automatic quick lube service facility CC special use permit to a B1 commercial zoned lot designated Lot 2314 of Block 44 of County Block 4782 East of the Pond Hill East Commercial Subdivision under the following conditions. Approval of the special use permit for an automotive quick lube service facility shall be contingent upon the developer fully satisfying all commitments presented to the city council regarding the establishment of a restaurant. Okay. That is our primary motion made by Buddy, seconded by Lee. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Nay.
The primary motion, as amended, passes 3-2. Okay. Mark, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
brings us to item number 9. Do we have a
Sorry?
motion to adjourn?
Thank you, yeah.
Motion adjourned?
We have a motion from from Conrad. We have a second from Lee. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign.